Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the English Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Alex.
And I'm Maria. Thanks for tuning in.
Today, we're diving into a really important topic: how to handle peer pressure. We'll cover everything from recognizing peer pressure to strategies for dealing with it effectively.
We'll also share some real-life examples and success stories to help you understand how to navigate these tricky situations.
You know, Maria, I remember back in high school, there was a time when I felt immense pressure to fit in with a certain group. It led me to make some choices that I wasn't comfortable with, just to be accepted.
I can relate, Alex. For me, it was during my first job. I felt the need to go along with the majority even when I knew it wasn't the right thing for me. It taught me a lot about the importance of staying true to myself.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to talk about peer pressure and how we can all handle it better. Let's get started. Segment 2, Understanding Peer Pressure. Number 1, Definition and Types.
So, let's start by defining peer pressure. Peer pressure is the influence exerted by a peer group on its members to fit in with or conform to the group's expectations.
There are different types of peer pressure. Positive peer pressure can encourage us to adopt good habits or pursue healthy activities, like studying harder or participating in sports.
On the other hand, negative peer pressure pushes us towards unhealthy or risky behaviors, such as smoking, drinking, or engaging in unethical activities.
Peer pressure can also be direct, where someone explicitly tells you to do something, or indirect, where you feel the need to conform based on the group's behavior or norms. Number 2, the psychology behind peer pressure.
Now let's talk about why people feel pressured to conform. It's all about the human need for acceptance and belonging. We naturally want to fit in and be part of a group.
This need is rooted in our psychology. From an early age, we learn that being part of a group can offer protection, support, and a sense of identity.
That's right. Our brains are wired to seek approval and avoid rejection, which can sometimes lead us to go against our own values and beliefs just to be accepted by others.
Understanding these psychological factors is the first step in recognizing and managing peer pressure effectively. Segment 3, Identifying Peer Pressure. Number 1, Recognizing Peer Pressure.
Recognizing peer pressure is crucial to handling it effectively. One of the first signs is feeling uncomfortable or conflicted about a decision you're making.
Absolutely. If you find yourself agreeing to do something that you normally wouldn't do, or something that feels wrong just to fit in, that's a clear indicator of peer pressure.
Another sign is if you notice a change in your behavior when you're with certain people. You might act differently or do things you usually wouldn't just to gain their approval.
And don't forget about emotional cues. Feeling anxious, guilty, or stressed after making a decision can also be a sign that you're succumbing to peer pressure. Number 2, examples of peer pressure.
Let's go through some real-life examples to make this clearer. Imagine you're at a party and everyone is drinking. You don't usually drink, but your friends keep insisting you have a drink to loosen up and fit in.
Another scenario could be in a work setting. Your colleagues might pressure you to stay late every night to finish a project, even though it's affecting your health and personal life.
Peer pressure can also happen in more subtle ways. For instance, If your friends constantly talk about the latest expensive gadgets they own, you might feel pressured to buy similar items to keep up, even if it strains your finances.
Or in school, you might feel the need to join a certain club or activity just because all your friends are doing it, even though you have no real interest in it.
By being aware of these scenarios and how peer pressure manifests, you can better prepare yourself to handle it when it arises.
Segment 4. The impact of peer pressure. Number 1. Emotional and psychological effects.
Peer pressure can have profound emotional and psychological effects. Constantly feeling pressured to conform can lead to significant stress and anxiety.
Absolutely. When you're trying to fit in, you might start to question your self-worth and doubt your own decisions, leading to a loss of self-esteem.
This constant struggle can cause emotional exhaustion. You're always worried about meeting others' expectations, which can be mentally draining.
Over time, these feelings can contribute to more severe issues like depression. Feeling like you're always falling short or not being true to yourself can be incredibly disheartening. Number 2. Impact on decision-making.
Peer pressure can significantly influence your decision-making process. When you prioritize others' opinions over your own values, you might make choices that you wouldn't otherwise.
This can lead to risky behaviors. For instance, if you're pressured into trying drugs or alcohol, you're not making that decision based on your own reasoning, but rather to fit in.
It can also affect your long-term goals. You might choose a career path or make significant life decisions based on what others expect of you, rather than what you truly want.
And sometimes, peer pressure can push you into situations where you compromise your safety or well-being. For example, driving recklessly because your friends think it's cool.
Recognizing these impacts is the first step to developing strategies to handle peer pressure effectively. Understanding how it affects you emotionally and influences your decisions can empower you to make choices that align with your true self.
Segment 5. Strategies for handling peer pressure. Number 1. Building confidence. Building self-confidence is crucial in resisting peer pressure. When you believe in yourself and your values, it becomes easier to stand your ground.
Start by recognizing your strengths and achievements. Keep a journal of your successes and the qualities you appreciate about yourself.
Surround yourself with supportive people who uplift and encourage you. Their positive reinforcement can boost your confidence.
Practice self-care and mindfulness. Taking care of your mental and physical well-being can enhance your self-esteem and resilience.
Number 2. Developing assertiveness.
Being assertive means expressing your thoughts and feelings confidently without being aggressive. It's about standing up for yourself while respecting others.
Use I statements to communicate your feelings. For example, I feel uncomfortable when, instead of, you always.
Practice saying no in a firm but polite manner. It's okay to decline requests or invitations that make you uncomfortable.
Role-playing can help. Practice assertive responses in various scenarios with a friend or family member to build your assertiveness skills. Number 3. Setting boundaries. Setting personal boundaries is essential to protect your well-being and maintain your integrity.
Identify your limits and communicate them clearly to others. Let people know what behaviors are acceptable and what aren't.
Be consistent with your boundaries. If someone crosses a line, address it immediately and reinforce your limits.
Learn to walk away from situations or relationships that repeatedly disregard your boundaries. It's important to prioritize your well-being over fitting in.
Remember, setting boundaries is a form of self-respect. It shows that you value yourself and your needs. Segment 6. Positive peer influence. Number 1. Choosing friends wisely. One of the best ways to handle peer pressure is by choosing friends who have a positive influence on you.
Look for friends who share similar values and goals. These are the people who will support and uplift you rather than pressure you into uncomfortable situations.
Pay attention to how you feel around your friends. True friends make you feel confident and valued, not pressured. Look for friends who share similar values and goals. These are the people who will support and uplift you rather than pressure you into uncomfortable situations or inadequate.
It's okay to distance yourself from those who consistently push you toward negative behaviors. Prioritizing your well-being is more important than fitting in.
Number 2, encouraging positive behaviors.
Surrounding yourself with positive peers can lead to positive peer pressure, where you're encouraged to adopt good habits and behaviors.
For example, if your friends are focused on academic success, you're more likely to study hard and strive for good grades.
Be that positive influence for others too. Encourage your friends to make healthy choices and support them in their goals.
Engage in activities that promote positive interactions, such as volunteering, joining clubs or groups with similar interests, and participating in sports or creative projects.
Celebrate each other's successes and provide constructive feedback when needed. Positive reinforcement can strengthen good habits and behaviors.
Segment 7. Seeking support. Number 1. Talking to trusted individuals. One of the most important steps in handling peer pressure is talking to someone you trust. Whether it's a friend, family member, or mentor, having someone to confide in can make a big difference. I remember when I was feeling overwhelmed by peer pressure in college, I talked to my older sister. She listened without judgment and offered practical advice that really helped me see things more clearly.
Absolutely, Alex. When I was starting my career, I faced a lot of pressure to fit in and go along with things I wasn't comfortable with. I found it incredibly helpful to talk to my mentor about it. She helped me understand that it's okay to set boundaries and stand up for myself. Starting that conversation can be challenging, but it can provide so much emotional relief and practical guidance.
Number 2. Practical advice. If you're wondering how to start these conversations, try to be honest about your feelings and describe specific situations where you feel pressured. For example, you might say, "I've been feeling a lot of pressure from my friends to do things I'm not comfortable with, and it's really stressing me out."
Yes, being specific can help the person you're talking to understand what you're going through and offer better advice. Remember, the people who care about you want to support you, and sharing your concerns can really lighten the load.
Number 3. Professional help. Sometimes talking to friends or family isn't enough, and that's okay. Knowing when to seek professional help is crucial. Signs that you might need extra support include persistent stress, anxiety, or difficulty managing peer pressure on your own.
Exactly. There are different types of professionals who can help, like counselors, therapists, and life coaches. Each offers unique support depending on your needs. For instance, a therapist can help you explore underlying issues and develop coping strategies, while a life coach might focus more on practical steps to reach your goals.
Number 4, finding resources. Finding the right professional can be a bit daunting, but it's important to check credentials and seek recommendations. You can also use online directories to find qualified professionals in your area.
And don't forget to trust your instincts. If you don't feel comfortable with a particular professional, it's okay to look for someone else. The right support can make a huge difference in handling peer pressure effectively.
Segment 8, real-life examples and success stories. Number 1, personal experiences. One of the most memorable experiences I had with peer pressure was during high school. There was a group of friends who always seemed to be doing things I wasn't comfortable with, like skipping classes or trying out risky behaviors. At first, I felt the need to fit in, but I quickly realized that this wasn't who I wanted to be. I decided to distance myself and found a new group of friends who respected my choices. It wasn't easy, but it taught me the importance of staying true to myself.
I've had a similar experience when I started my first job. There was a lot of pressure to work long hours and attend after-work social events, even when I was exhausted. It took me a while, but I learned to assert my boundaries. I started by politely declining some invitations and focusing on balancing my work and personal life. Over time, I noticed that people respected my decisions more, and I felt much happier and more productive.
Number 2, success stories. There are numerous well-known success stories about people who have overcome peer pressure. One example is Emma Watson, who has spoken openly about the pressures of growing up in the public eye and how she learned to navigate these challenges by staying true to her values. She often talks about the importance of surrounding yourself with positive influences and not being afraid to say no.
Another inspiring story is that of J.K. Rowling, who faced significant peer pressure and skepticism from the publishing world before the Harry Potter series became a success. Despite numerous rejections and the pressure to conform to the expectations of the publishing industry, she persevered and stayed true to her vision, which eventually led to her phenomenal success.
Number 3, lessons learned. These stories highlight a few key lessons. First, it's crucial to know and stand by your values. Secondly, finding a supportive network can help you resist negative pressures. Lastly, learning to say no is a powerful tool in maintaining your integrity.
Absolutely. By sharing these personal experiences and success stories, we hope to inspire our listeners to handle peer pressure confidently. Remember, everyone faces pressure at some point, but with the right strategies and support, you can overcome it.
Segment 9, tips and takeaways. Number 1, summarize key points. Today, we've explored various aspects of peer pressure, starting with understanding what it is and the different forms it can take. We discussed the emotional and psychological impacts of peer pressure and provided strategies for identifying and handling it. We also touched on the importance of positive peer influence and seeking support from trusted individuals and professionals.
We shared our personal experiences and success stories to illustrate how peer pressure can be managed effectively. The key takeaways are to build confidence, develop assertiveness, set boundaries, and choose your friends wisely.
Number 2. Actionable tips. Here are a few actionable tips you can start applying today to handle peer pressure. 1. Know your values. Be clear about what you believe in and what you stand for. 2. Practice saying no. Learn to say no confidently, without feeling guilty. 3. Choose your friends wisely. Surround yourself with people who respect your choices and encourage positive behavior. 4. Seek support. Don't hesitate to talk to trusted friends, family, or mentors when you feel pressured. 5. Be assertive. Communicate your boundaries clearly and stand up for yourself. 6. Avoid situations with negative influences. If you know certain situations will involve pressure to do things you're uncomfortable with, try to avoid them. 7. Find hobbies and activities you enjoy. Engage in activities that make you happy and help you build confidence. 8. Stay true to yourself. Always remember that it's okay to be different and make choices that are best for you.
Remember, everyone faces peer pressure at some point in their lives. It's not a reflection of your strength or character, but how you handle it that truly matters.
You are stronger and more capable than you realize. Stay true to yourself, seek support when needed, and don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. You've got this. Segment 10. Conclusion. Today's episode was all about handling peer pressure. We defined peer pressure, explored its various forms, and discussed its psychological impacts. We also talked about recognizing and managing peer pressure, building confidence, and the importance of positive peer influence. We shared personal experiences and success stories to illustrate how peer pressure can be effectively handled.
We also provided strategies for seeking support and tips for creating a supportive environment. Hopefully you found these insights valuable and feel more equipped to handle peer pressure in your own life.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the English Hustle podcast so you never miss an update. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out.
And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family. It's a great way to spread the word and help others learn how to handle peer pressure.
Thanks for listening to the English Hustle podcast. See you next time.